Argument number 1, the creation argument. This argument is also known as the cosmological argument. And while I could go through the argument in detail, where I go through each premise, I think it's better to explain it in a way that you can use it in a conversation. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, that's fine. All you need to know is that I'm going to break down this argument simply because you don't really need to know the premises unless you're in an actual debate. So the creation argument essentially states that everything that begins to exist must have a reason for its existence.
And if we were in a conversation, I would stop you at this point and say, how do you know that?
So since that's the case, we as people should also have a reason for our existence.
But I'm gonna say that's not the case. So where do you go from there?
So this is the way it works. Everything that we see has a cause for its existence. For example, we can look at a building and we can safely assume that there were architects and construction workers that were responsible for making it.
Yeah, 'cause that's how buildings are made. They're called buildings because they are built by builders.
On top of that, paintings come from artists, dishes come from chefs, and forests come from seeds, and mountains come from the Earth's tectonic plates moving.
You're covering a lot of ground there. I think you better say what all these things have in common. A painter and a chef are very different from a seed or a tectonic plate.
So the idea is that all that we see needed to have some kind of cause.
Well, before you said everything needs a reason, now it's everything needs a cause? Okay, let's go with that. How do you know that? If you study particle physics, it seems that everything does not need a cause. So where do you go from there?
And our universe isn't any different.
I'd say our universe is about as different as you can get from anything we are familiar with from daily life. No reason to think that what you observe about your bowl of cereal will hold true of the entire universe.
According to science, our universe is expanding.
And according to science, not everything has a cause. Are we going with science, or are we not going with science? Can you make a decision? Do you just go with science when it supports your own case?
And if it's continuously expanding, then if we were to rewind time, there had to have been a point in which everything started.
Well, not really. There is a point at which the physics we have no longer describes the situation, and before that, we just have no idea. If you mean that there was a point in time at which everything started, that's also wrong because time started too, so there was no before and there was no point in time at which time started.
So the question is, how did everything begin?
Well, it sounds like you want to study cosmology. That's going to give you as good an answer as the human mind can produce today.